Throughout the history of science, the desire to understand the unknown has often pushed researchers beyond the comfortable boundaries of what most people would consider reasonable. Many of the discoveries that define modern life began not with cautious steps, but with daring, and sometimes unsettling, experiments. The stories of these strange investigations reveal both the ambition of human curiosity and the ethical questions that continue to follow it. In the winter of 1964, 17-year-old high school student Randy Gardner volunteered for a contest that would become a scientific milestone. Under the supervision of sleep researchers in California, he attempted to stay awake for as long as possible without stimulants. What started as a school science fair project turned into an unprecedented test of human endurance. 11 days without sleep. At first, the effects were mild: irritability, difficulty concentrating. But as the days passed, Gardner experienced dramatic mood swings, blurred vision, and even hallucinations. He reported seeing a road in front of him that wasn't there, and struggled to remember simple tasks. When the experiment finally ended, doctors noted that his body quickly recovered after a long rest, yet the study revealed just how vital sleep is for brain function. Gardner's ordeal helped launch modern sleep science, shaping our understanding of memory, mental health, and the dangers of chronic sleep loss. Long before that, psychologists were already probing the deepest corners of the human mind. In 1920, American researchers John B. Watson and Rosalie Rayner carried out what became infamous as the Little Albert experiment. They introduced a calm, playful infant to a white laboratory rat. At first, the child reached for it with curiosity. Then, every time the rat appeared, the scientists struck a metal bar behind the baby's head, producing a terrifying noise. Soon, Albert began to cry at the mere sight of the rat, and eventually at anything white and fluffy. The experiment demonstrated the power of classical conditioning, proving that even fear could be learned. But it also exposed a dark side of early psychology. There was no informed consent, no plan to reverse the trauma, and no ethical review board. The outrage that followed would later inspire the creation of the first formal codes of ethics in psychological research. Medicine itself has a long tradition of bold, and sometimes macabre, trials. In the mid-20th century, Soviet scientist Vladimir Demikhov performed dramatic operations transplanting the heads of puppies onto the bodies of adult dogs. The goal was to explore the potential of organ transplantation, but the sight of two-headed animals shocked the world and raised deep moral questions. A century earlier, in Europe and the United States, experimenters tried to revive dead tissue with electricity, sending sparks through the limbs of executed criminals in public demonstrations. The jerking movements of muscles and faces gave birth to stories of artificial life and directly inspired Mary Shelley's famous novel Frankenstein. Even the development of vaccines, now a cornerstone of modern medicine, often relied on volunteers and patients who faced serious risk before the principles of safe clinical trials were established. By the late 20th century, the frontiers of biology shifted again. In 1996, at the Roslin Institute in Scotland, scientists announced the birth of Dolly the sheep, the first mammal cloned from an adult cell. The breakthrough proved that the DNA of a mature animal could be reprogrammed to create an identical copy. Dolly's arrival triggered a global storm. Religious leaders, politicians, and ethicists debated the possibility and the danger of cloning humans. While human cloning remains off-limits in most countries, the techniques pioneered in Dolly's creation now drive medical research, from producing genetically matched organs to preserving endangered species. These extraordinary stories, from sleepless teenagers to cloned sheep, show how the pursuit of knowledge often balances between genius and recklessness. The same curiosity that led to ethical missteps also opened doors to life-saving advances in psychology, medicine, and genetics. Science, at its boldest, has always walked a narrow path, one where risk, imagination, and controversy come together to expand the limits of what humanity can know and achieve. EZ